We've got ESPN's ranks of WNBA players right now. And Caitlin Clark is really high. One could argue she's not high enough. But I think it's pretty surprising for a lot of these folks. I will tell you this straight up. Angel Reese ain't nowhere to be found in the top 10. She's not involved. You're not here. Sorry, but not sorry. You're not to be seen.
Angel Reese is in complete disarray after ESPN dropped their 2025 rankings. Reality hit her harder than any defender she's ever boxed out this season. She strutted around convinced she was the undisputed queen of the court, exuding that "I define women's basketball" vibe, only to be shocked when ESPN didn't place her in the top 5 or even the top 10, but at 12th. Yep, 12th. And let's be real, that's still way too high. But hey, it looks like the crown slipped. Now she's reacting as if someone swiped her favorite pair of designer sunglasses, going full meltdown mode. Maybe ESPN just replayed her latest blooper reel at Unrivaled.
So, let's all get a laugh together here, because this is the list. And you see the list, right? Well, I don't see, correct me if I'm wrong, do you see Angel Reese on this list?
Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark is comfortably holding on to second place, completely unfazed, letting her performance speak for itself while Reese scrambles to keep her reputation intact. It's crazy to think that not long ago, everyone was trying to manufacture a rivalry, pitting Reese against Clark as if it were a genuine debate. Remember when even the commissioner was joining in on the hype?
Magic moment, if you recall, from 1979 when those two rookies came in from a big college rivalry, one white, one black. And so we have that moment with these two. But the one thing I know about sports, you need rivalry. That's what makes people watch. They want to watch games of consequence between rivals. They don't want everybody being nice to one another.
Well, consider that debate a closed chapter. The divide isn't just obvious, it's downright embarrassing. Clark never even broke a sweat, effortlessly outpacing her rival, while Reese is probably busy rage scrolling through her mentions, trying to tweet away the sting. Still skeptical? Check the facts. Let's be real. This is pure humiliation for Angel Reese. She had all the hype, the media frenzy, and every bit of trash talk at her disposal. She built her brand on being that unstoppable game changer. But when it came time to back it up, she ended up stranded outside the top 10, clutching nothing more than a participation trophy. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark has been quietly dominating, dropping triple-doubles, shattering 62 records, and effortlessly redefining what it means to be a sports superstar. No gimmicks, no excuses, just unfiltered dominance.
Okay. And lo and behold, I couldn't believe my eyes when I seen number 2. They had Caitlin Clark. I said, really?
And spare me the whole, but she's a double-double machine excuse. Sure, racking up double-doubles is impressive, but what's even more impressive? Being the main reason fans tune in to every game. Remember when ESPN practically radiated an anti-Clark vibe, as if they were allergic to admitting she was the standout? Well, even they had to eventually admit the truth. She's the magnet, the one drawing all the attention.
You know, a lot of people say that Caitlin Clark moves the needle. That is wrong. She is the needle. She dictates. We all know what she's done on the floor. It's history, right? But off the floor, my goodness.
The numbers don't fib, the stats are crystal clear, and now even the rankings are laying down the truth. Meanwhile, Angel Reese fans are squinting at the list, desperately scrolling as if her name were hidden in microscopic print. Sorry to break it to you, but landing in 12th place isn't exactly what you'd call superstar status. It's like showing up to an exclusive VIP bash convinced you're the guest of honor, only to be left waiting outside while Caitlin Clark is inside, commanding the room. And those critics of Caitlin Clark really pulled out every narrative in the book to paint Reese as being on her level. Now, it's just silence, crickets. Honestly, it's almost serene without all that noise, isn't it?
Angel Reese is the most unskilled basketball player in the history of basketball, in my opinion. She has no skills. She has energy, she has an attitude, she'll rebound you the basketball, great. Nothing else. She has not, she's got self-awareness. She knows that she's not a very good basketball player. That's why she spends so much time half naked and taking pictures and promoting things that have nothing to do with basketball.
Let's not kid ourselves. If the roles were switched, the story would be entirely different. Picture this. Caitlin Clark dropping to 12th, while Angel Reese lounges comfortably at number 2. The internet would be ablaze, with sports shows devoting whole segments to dissecting it. Reese's fans would be celebrating like they just clinched the WNBA title. But now that Reese occupies the 12th spot, suddenly those rankings lose all their meaning. ESPN's list, completely irrelevant. Funny how that conveniently shifts the narrative, isn't it?
If we did go off of how much winning Caitlin was doing, how she was contributing to winning, and then going off the viewership and all that, oh yeah, for sure. I think Caitlin should have won.
The truth is, rankings do matter, especially when you've built your entire persona around drawing eyes to women's basketball. And Caitlin Clark? She's locked in at number 2, though let's be honest, she ought to be number 1. But that's cool. She doesn't need to top the list to prove she's the face of the sport. Her record-breaking plays, packed arenas, and jaw-dropping highlights have already said it all. This ranking just confirms what we've known all along. Meanwhile, Angel Reese, yikes.
And now she knows it to the point that even when she's on the basketball court, she's aware like, this ain't really my thing. Let me get this hot potato out of my hand and to somebody that knows what they're doing with it as soon as possible. You gotta see this clip. This is a 3-on-3 basketball game. Angel Reese strips a player at one end, runs down court with the basketball, 3-4 steps ahead of everybody, has an easy layup, and throws it to the girl behind her.
What's even more hilarious is that ESPN has finally caught up with reality. Caitlin has become indisputable. Remember last season when, for reasons that defied all logic, ESPN placed Angel Reese above Caitlin Clark on the rookie list? Yes, above the very Caitlin Clark who was out there breaking records like it was her day job, pulling up from the logo and making defenders question their entire careers. And what was Reese doing? Just vibing. That's really all there was to it.
And this is ESPN's list, y'all, not mine. So don't be chirping, getting mad if your fave isn't at the top. So at number 1, we have Cameron Brink. Number 2, Angel Reese. Number 3, Kate Martin. 4, Rickea Jackson. 5, Julie Vanloo. And 6, Caitlin Clark.
Now the truth is out, and the rankings finally mirror reality. Caitlin Clark isn't just great, she's a generational talent, while Angel Reese, maybe next time, try less talking and more hooping. Sure, Angel Reese did snag some rebounds, credit where it's due, but beyond that, what were we really watching? A highlight reel of missed shots, lackluster defense, and an offensive output emptier than a vending machine after midnight. Yet somehow, despite all the brick shots and defensive blunders, she was hailed as one of the top rookies, even pocketing a Rookie of the Year vote. Fast forward to today, and it seems the experts have finally opened their eyes. Maybe they actually watch the games now, or perhaps they stopped buying into the TikTok hype, or maybe reality hit them like a missed layup off the backboard. Either way, justice has been served because the more you watch Angel play, the more it's clear she hasn't improved. In fact, she might have even regressed.
Caitlin Clark, she declined an invitation to participate in a special challenge during NBA All-Star Weekend next month. That's what Shams reported on Wednesday. Now, Clark's representatives, they expressed her desire to have her first three-point contest be at the WNBA All-Star in Indianapolis this summer. Shanae, I'm not mad at it. What do you make of this decision?
Look, I not only respect it, I absolutely wholeheartedly support
Well, it's official, you guys. Caitlin Clark is not competing in the three-point contest at NBA All-Star.
What happens when the biggest star in women's basketball says no to the NBA? Caitlin Clark, a record-breaking force and trailblazer on the court, just did exactly that. In a move that's sparking controversy and shaking up sports media, Clark turned down an invitation to join the NBA's three-point contest at All-Star Weekend. Rather than stepping into the spotlight as the NBA's special attraction, she's making a bold statement about where true recognition belongs. Stay tuned as we dive into how this decision is flipping the script and what it means for the future of the WNBA.
Caitlin Clark knows how to use the word that many people struggle all their lives being able to use. Some of us never get it till we're old and just don't care no more. The word, take a guess. Take a guess.
Controversy, debate, and, of course, ESPN's outrage. Caitlin Clark, the beacon of the WNBA's future, has just declined an invitation to participate in the NBA's three-point contest at All-Star Weekend.
Well, it has just been confirmed from Shams that Caitlin Clark will not be competing in the NBA three-point contest. Indiana Fever star Caitlin Clark will not participate in the NBA All-Star Special three-point shootout in San Francisco and wants her first three-point contest to be at WNBA All-Star in Indianapolis this summer. Her representatives at Excel Sports.
Rather than celebrating her choice, the sports media exploded into chaos. Some argue she's simply dodging the competition, while others believe she's boldly championing the WNBA. So what's the true story behind her decision, and why is ESPN so incensed? Stick around because we're unpacking every detail right now. All right, let's jump in. The Caitlin Clark saga has been dominating headlines nonstop. In case you haven't caught wind of it, Caitlin Clark, the undeniable superstar of women's basketball, recently declined an invitation to compete in the NBA's three-point contest during this year's All-Star Weekend. And wow, opinions are flying everywhere. From ESPN to NBA fans and WNBA supporters, everyone is weighing in as the debate continues to heat up.
The momentum that Caitlin Clark has this season, with her being close to being the face of basketball, both men's and women's this year, I just thought it was the perfect stage. And then obviously, the possibility of Steph Curry and Klay Thompson teaming up once again back in Golden State and doing that home reunion thing, and then having Sabrina and Caitlin. To me, it just sounded like so much fun, and it would definitely bring a little spark to NBA All-Star that NBA All-Star, unfortunately, hasn't.
Let's be honest. Caitlin Clark is the biggest name in women's basketball right now. She's more than just a player. She's a phenomenon. Every time she steps onto the court, she shatters records, fills arenas, and pulls in huge TV audiences. So when she decided to pass on the NBA's invitation, it wasn't just a scheduling conflict, it was a powerful statement. One that clearly caught ESPN and many sports analysts off guard. So what prompted her to make this call? Is she intimidated by the competition? Did she miscalculate? Or is she strategically setting the stage for the future, making a power move that still has many scratching their heads?
It's another testament to where she is in the hierarchy of the sports food chain and, the ladder of power and influence. Because Caitlin Clark is Steph Curry and LeBron James. Like, she's, there's no difference. A great philosopher once said there's levels to this. She's on that.
Here's the reality about Caitlin Clark. She knows exactly what she's worth. She's not just some player thrilled to get an invite to a high-profile event. She understands that wherever she goes, the cameras roll, the money flows, and the fans rally. So when the opportunity to participate in an NBA event came along, she didn't jump at it like a rookie trying to prove herself. Instead, she made it clear, "Thanks, but I'll pass. I'll host my first three-point contest on my own terms, in my own league."
You see Caitlin Clark using her power to benefit the WNBA, saying, not that she'd never do anything with the NBA, but that she's not going to do it this time because the first time should be with the WNBA in front of the Fever fans.
And that's exactly what's setting off a firestorm of reactions. For years, women's basketball players have been fighting tooth and nail for recognition, respect, and financial support. The WNBA has long been cast in the shadow of the NBA, and whenever a female athlete earns a smidgen of mainstream acclaim, there's this lingering expectation that she should be grateful for even the smallest scraps of attention from the men's league. But Caitlin Clark isn't subscribing to that narrative, she's rewriting it. She made it abundantly clear that she wants her inaugural three-point contest to take place at the WNBA All-Star Game, right in front of her hometown fans in Indiana. And let's be real, that's a savvy move. Why settle for being the NBA's special guest when she can be the headliner of her own show? Why help prop up the NBA's All-Star Weekend ratings when she can shine the spotlight on the WNBA instead? Of course, not everyone is on board with her decision. The moment she turned down the offer, sports analysts went into overdrive. ESPN pundits began to debate whether she was making a grave error, questioning her judgment, while the usual skeptics claimed she was merely dodging competition. Dodging competition? Come on. Caitlin Clark has never shied away from a challenge. She's been demolishing defenses and shattering records her entire career. If she really wanted to join the NBA's three-point contest, she'd be more than capable of holding her own. But that's precisely the point. She refused because she knows her worth, and she refuses to let others call the shots for her. Stephen A. Smith, as per usual, had a lot to say on the matter. For once, he actually backed Clark's decision, though not without throwing in some of his trademark commentary. He noted that last year's WNBA All-Star Game smashed records by drawing in 3.4 million viewers, while the NBA's All-Star Game struggled to hit numbers anywhere near its former glory. The NBA's All-Star Weekend has been losing its luster, no secret there, and it's obvious they were banking on Caitlin Clark to give them a ratings boost. Let's break that down for a moment. The NBA isn't exactly at its prime during All-Star Weekend. The dunk contest has lost its charm, and even the All-Star Game itself is treated more like a casual exhibition than a true contest. Viewership has been on a steady decline, and the overall energy just isn't what it used to be. So when Caitlin Clark enters the picture, a player who's been single-handedly driving TV ratings through the roof and filling arenas, it's clear the NBA saw a golden opportunity. And frankly, from their standpoint, it made total sense. Imagine the buzz. Caitlin Clark going head-to-head with the NBA's best in a three-point contest. The intrigue alone would pull in millions of viewers, but that's exactly why she declined. She recognized that she was being positioned merely as a ratings tool, and she wasn't about to let that happen. Let's not kid ourselves. If she had accepted, the aftermath would have been just as contentious, albeit for different reasons. A win might have been dismissed as merely a shooting contest, not genuine competition. A loss would have fueled claims that the WNBA just can't compare to the NBA. There was no scenario in which she could emerge unscathed in that setup. Instead, she delivered a bold message. The WNBA matters. She's not a novelty act or a side attraction for the NBA's All-Star Weekend. She's the star of her own league. This move might just be one of the most significant power plays we've seen from a women's basketball player in a long time. It's not about avoiding one contest. It's about transforming the narrative around the WNBA. For too long, critics have argued that women's sports depend on the men's leagues to survive, that without the NBA's support, the WNBA couldn't flourish. But Caitlin Clark is proving that theory wrong. She's driving ticket sales, setting new records, and making women's basketball a must-watch spectacle all on its own. Consider this. Just last year, the WNBA saw a surge in both viewership and merchandise sales. The Indiana Fever, the team Clark plays for, accounted for nearly half of the league's entire broadcast value. Half. That's a staggering figure, and it's all thanks to her influence. She's demonstrating that the WNBA doesn't need to rely on the NBA's leftovers to thrive. It can stand tall with its own stars, its own storylines, and its own dedicated fan base. That's why this decision is so monumental. She's setting a new standard. She's telling the next generation of female athletes, you don't have to latch onto the men's league for validation. You can be the main event in your own right, and the impact is already evident. What began as a decision over a three-point contest has blossomed into a full-blown conversation about the future of women's basketball. That's the magnitude of her influence. So yes, ESPN might be seething, the NBA might feel let down, and some fans might be left scratching their heads. But Caitlin Clark is in complete control of her narrative. She's playing the long game, building something far bigger than a single contest. And honestly, you have to respect that.
Unearned fame and fortune are far more destructive than they might appear. And right now, there's no organization on the planet that proves this point more than the WNBA. The league just posted its highest average game viewership in 24 years. They're bringing in massive new sponsorships, at least by the league standard. They're selling out arenas, which used to be unheard of for the WNBA.
Have you ever wondered why a star like Caitlin Clark is encountering criticism in the WNBA? It's not what you might expect. The league's audience numbers soared, player benefits got better, and women's basketball gained significant attention. However, suddenly, unexpected allegations began to emerge from seasoned WNBA players.
From the executives to the players to the reporters who, for their sins in a past life, have been cursed with the job of covering a women's basketball league, everyone should be overjoyed. But there's a big problem. All of this success, every bit of it, is due to the presence of one player in the league, and that is a generational talent named Caitlin Clark, who of course you've heard of. And still probably the only WNBA player whose name you know.
Matt Walsh isn't buying it. He's calling out the double standards, and trust me, he has the proof. He's armed with the data, the statistics, and he's not afraid to name names. Stay tuned as we uncover the explosive truth behind the WNBA's biggest controversy to date. You won't believe what some players are revealing behind the scenes. Ready? Let's dive in. Imagine this. Caitlin Clark steps onto the court, and the WNBA undergoes a complete transformation overnight. She's not just making an impact, she's changing the game.
She's the reason the WNBA just won the lottery. Without Caitlin Clark, nobody cares about any of these players or the league. With her, most people still don't care, but a lot more people care than did before. And everybody knows that, right? Therefore, everyone in the league other than Caitlin Clark is doing exactly what so many lottery winners do. They're allowing all of their worst personality traits to surface because they just can't help themselves.
The WNBA is undergoing an unprecedented boom. Viewership has soared to record-breaking heights, leaving executives in awe. Stadiums are packed to capacity, generating an electric energy that was once unimaginable in the WNBA. It's as if someone hit a power switch, and suddenly women's basketball has become the hottest ticket in town.
You know, there are a lot of stories out there about lottery winners who go on to destroy their lives. Something like 70% of them supposedly go bankrupt within a few years. It's not hard to see how that would happen. When you give a lot of money and attention to a person who didn't earn any of it, that person doesn't suddenly change overnight. Instead, more often than not, all of their worst character traits are amplified 10 times over, and in many cases, that leads to a very public and humiliating collapse. This is a principle that doesn't just apply to individuals, it turns out. It applies to organizations, too.
This surge in popularity is bringing in significant investments. Sponsorships and major deals are flooding in like never before. It's as though the floodgates have opened, and everyone wants a slice of the WNBA action. Players are enjoying enhanced benefits, and the league is attracting attention from unexpected sources with a surge of new fans. But here's the kicker. Not everyone is celebrating. Some players are voicing their frustrations. Can you believe it? Amidst all this success, underlying discontent is starting to surface.
There's been a lot of resentment in this league lately, in particular since the season began. And the thing about resentment, as we all know, is that it tends to fester over time. It gets worse and worse. That's exactly what we're seeing now.
It's truly perplexing. On one side, the league is finally gaining the recognition it has been yearning for. On the other, some players seem discontent with the very achievements they've been striving toward. Why? That's the million-dollar question. Are they envious of Clark's sudden rise to stardom? Concerned about what this means for their own careers? Or is there something more beneath the surface?
Race hysteria in the WNBA has somehow reached yet another inflection point. The league is currently in the midst of what really might be the single most contrived racism scandal, certainly in any professional sport, at least since the fake noose in Bubba Wallace's garage. Specifically, a bunch of WNBA players have come out claiming that they've been victimized by racial slurs and other forms of racist attacks. Like, a lot of players are claiming this.
Imagine this. The WNBA is soaring on an unprecedented wave of popularity, and then a bombshell hits that shakes the league to its very foundation. We're discussing explosive accusations of racism that threaten to dismantle women's basketball. It's like striking a match in a room filled with gasoline.
How do you feel about what has happened over the past year with the W since you first came in to where it is now? And obviously the game has grown and there's new fans, but how do you appreciate the new fans without all the noise that's coming with them?
I appreciate the new fans that sit there and yell racial slurs at myself, my teammates, and the people that I play against, because those might be opponents, but those are friends too. They don't deserve that. So I don't appreciate the new fans. I think it's okay to do that.
Brittany Griner, one of the league's biggest stars, steps forward with a startling allegation. She claims that new fans are hurling slurs during games. Can you believe it?
The question that Brittany Griner was asked was about the massive growth of this league, which was dead in the water just a year ago and had been dead for its entire existence. And the reporter asked, what do you think of all the new fans? And like in any other context, when someone says, what do you think of all the new fans that are coming in? Usually it's great. We love how everybody is supporting the league and we're so grateful. None of that. Instead of some gratitude, some appreciation for the people who have saved the WNBA, who pay to come out to see bad players like Brittany Griner, instead of that, we get resentment.
Now for the details. None of these racial slurs have been confirmed, even though some are alleged to have happened during games. As far as I know, none of them have been captured on camera. Interesting. There's no visual or audio proof to back any of these claims. Not a single trustworthy report either. That's highly unusual, especially considering there are cameras and smartphones at every WNBA game. Walsh isn't holding back. He's stating it exactly as he sees it, asserting that these accusations are completely fabricated. It's a daring claim, but it's making people take notice. But let's slow down for a moment. Why would players fabricate something so serious? That's the million-dollar question sparking intense debates among fans and critics alike. Are they trying to create drama? Is there something else happening behind the scenes? If there were, the videos would be all over the internet, but they're nowhere to be found. They don't exist online. So instead, we're left having to rely on the players' statements. The entire situation is causing turmoil within the league. On one side, you have players feeling wronged and calling for action. On the other, there are skeptics like Walsh demanding solid evidence before making any judgments. And in the middle of it all, the fans, the sponsors, and the future of the WNBA itself.
You don't get told no. Like, you're going to get the yeses. You're going to get more yeses than nos, and just being able to know that. So I'm excited for that. I know that's going to come soon.
Imagine Angel Reese gripping the microphone, boldly announcing on her podcast her vision of assembling a powerhouse team in Chicago. Fast forward to today, and the Sky locker room is eerily silent, filled only with the sounds of crickets. Not a single top free agent has responded to her call, as the season's elite players are signing elsewhere. It's clear that Chicago's allure isn't as magnetic as Reese had hoped. But what went wrong?
WNBA free agency is officially underway, Annie. So when you see these names and the options that the Sky have, what do you think that they're cooking up?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because Angel and Camilla are very interesting pieces. And when you're talking about, getting the right players in here, there is intrigue when you have young core pieces like that, because you could be part of developing them and developing towards a title contending season. But the reality is the Sky are still very far from that. And so this year, the focus really has to be on getting players in who are going to bridge that gap between this season and next.
Could it be the turmoil within the front office that's driving potential stars away? Or perhaps the facilities, which look more like a high school gymnasium than a top-tier professional arena? Maybe teaming up with the self-proclaimed superstar isn't the allure it was promised to be. Not a single all-star is making their way to the Windy City. Is this the ultimate thanks, but no thanks response to Reese's recruitment push? Let's dissect this free agency debacle and explore whether Angel's once gleaming reputation is beginning to tarnish. Ready to dive in? Let's go.
The whole city is obsessed with you.
I know. I love it
all
here.
the time.
I feel like Baltimore here. I love it here.
It does. Kind of. A little bit. A little DMV action. Yeah. But Chicago is a number 3 market in the country.
Really?
It's New York, LA, and then Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago, y'all have everything. I'm not gonna lie, y'all have everything here. Like, it's nothing here that I'm like, oh, I gotta go to a different city for it. Like, everything has been here.
Remember when Angel Reese confidently declared her intention to build a superstar team in Chicago? Well, the free agency season has just kicked off, and the Windy City is quieter than ever, with crickets chirping in the background. Picture this: Angel, phone in hand, tirelessly scrolling through her contacts, sending one text after another, making call after call, and even sliding into Instagram DMs. But the reaction? Complete radio silence.
Like Angel Reese and Camilla Cardoso, too, have brought relevance to this team that they've desperately needed in a time when, again, if not for them, they'd be completely irrelevant because of the product that they're putting on the floor.
And also make Chicago an attractive spot when you have Angel Reese and Camilla Cardoso right there, two bigs that really shined in their rookie season.
Given the abundance of elite talent on the market this offseason, you'd expect at least one all-star to be eager to join Chicago. Unfortunately, that's not the case. As time passed, the quiet became almost overwhelming. No press events, no enthusiastic social media buzz, nothing. Angel is now left with an empty roster and a multitude of unanswered questions.
So, lads, this is not great news, for the Chicago Sky, who are a team that obviously, they're rebuilding. This is a team that is 100% rebuilding. The problem is they don't own their pick. So if the Chicago Sky run it back, they're probably not making the playoffs next year. Look, I think there's going to be an improvement from Angel Reese. I think it's going to be an improvement from Cardoso. But that team with no Kennedy Carter, it's going to be real tough to get any offensive power.
Let's delve into the details. Top-tier talents like Kelsey Plum, Jewel Lloyd, Brittany Griner, Alyssa Thomas, and Kelsey Mitchell were all available this offseason. These are the elite players capable of transforming a franchise overnight. So, how many of them even gave Chicago a second thought? None. Zilch. Absolutely nothing. You might be thinking, is there still a glimmer of hope? Does Angel have a hidden trump card? A surprise signing that could turn the tide? However, as the dust settles and contracts are finalized across the league, one fact stands out. Not a single all-star free agent opted for Chicago. Angel's recruitment strategy didn't just miss the mark, it spectacularly backfired.
So, not a good day for the Chicago Sky. Not a good day at all, because we have heard news from the journalist who reports on the WNBA, and because she is not a homer like a lot of the other people,
Like, normally journalists are complete homers for one team. One of the actual credible journalists reported on something. Sky fans aren't happy. They all want her fired.
Now, things take an even more intriguing turn. The Sky's front office isn't exactly easing the situation. Take Kennedy Carter, their top scorer. Did they even bother to extend her a qualifying offer? It appears they might be intentionally driving talent away. And let's not overlook those trade negotiations that led to nothing. It's almost as if the moment Angel's name was brought up, the front office decided to run for the hills.
Kennedy had an incredible season for us last year, says the GM. She's extremely talented and is a player that can impact the game at the highest level in our league. We absolutely appreciate all she did for our team last year. However, we've made changes to our staff and we'll make changes to our roster. Those changes impact Kennedy's fit on the team, so we wanted to give her the best opportunity as a free agent.
What's the fallout for Angel Reese, the self-proclaimed luminary who was meant to be Chicago's Pied Piper, attracting a lineup of all-stars to the Windy City? It seems she might end up leading a solo march instead. Now, that's a tough pill to swallow. So, what exactly went wrong? Why did none of the top talents choose Chicago?
Is Angel Reese, did she just run a coach out of town, and is she running a player out of town? Their best shooter out of town? Because Kennedy Carter looks like she's ready to book it out of Chicago.
While Angel Reese was focused on building her dream team, the real excitement of free agency was unfolding elsewhere. Imagine a whirlwind of activity across the league as top-tier players made their moves, leaving Chicago in the shadows. Let's dive into the hot spots where the stars chose to shine instead.
WNBA, the Seattle Storm are sending Jewel Lloyd to the Las Vegas Aces in a blockbuster three-team trade that moves Kelsey Plum to the LA Sparks. That's according to ESPN. As part of the deal, Seattle receives the second pick in this year's WNBA draft from LA in exchange for the Storm's number 9 pick, while the Aces also receive the 13th pick, a second-round selection from the Sparks.
Take Kelsey Plum, for instance. Her lethal three-point shooting was a key factor in Las Vegas clinching 2 championships. Now, she's bringing her talents to Los Angeles, making the Sparks a formidable force. So, why did she choose LA over Chicago? It's straightforward. The Sparks offer a winning culture, top-tier facilities, and a well-managed front office. Tough break, Angel. But the plot thickens with Jewel Lloyd. She had the opportunity to return to her hometown, Chicago. You'd think teaming up with Angel would be a dream scenario, right? Think again. Lloyd assessed the Sky's situation and decided against it, opting instead to join Las Vegas and collaborate with Aja Wilson. Ouch.
Most of the fans of the basketball player are fans of the sport of basketball. But, yeah. If you guys thought that people weren't going to care, 1.7 million views.
Have you caught the newest training clip from Caitlin Clark, released by the Indiana Fever? It's absolutely exploded online, amassing nearly 2 million views within just 24 hours. But here's the kicker. Almost immediately, Angel Reese's PR team dropped her own training video. Predictably and humorously, Reese's version fell flat, turning what could have been a great showcase into a total misstep. While Clark's video shines brilliantly, Reese's attempt? Let's just say it's more like fool's gold. Prepare yourself for an engaging and entertaining analysis of these 2 viral videos. We'll dive into the numbers, explore fan responses, and highlight some over-the-top, misguided efforts by Reese to outshine Clark. Think jealousy isn't a factor? Trust me, this is something you'll want to see. Isn't it amazing how every time Caitlin Clark does literally anything, the internet goes into a frenzy? Her most recent workout video has everyone talking, and for good reason. Let's dive into this clip that ignited social media, racking up 2 million views in just 24 hours. It's truly gone viral. But what makes this video so noteworthy? It's not merely Clark displaying her skills. It serves as a comprehensive guide to self-improvement.
If you guys saw this workout has gotten a lot of people excited for Caitlin Clark because she is like directly working on her weaknesses, which I think is a good look, honestly. I think that's a really, really good look for her because, again, when we're seeing somebody working on their weaknesses and not the glamorous weaknesses.
The video highlights 3 primary areas that Clark is concentrating on. First up is ball handling in confined spaces. While Clark is already exceptional with the basketball, she led the league in turnovers last season. This was mainly because opponents weren't accustomed to her extraordinary passes, though her turnover rate improved after the Olympic break. Additionally, she often faces double and triple teams, creating intense ball pressure. By enhancing her ability to maintain control under such pressure, she's directly tackling this challenge. Next, we watch Clark perfecting her mid-range game, and this is a major development. While everyone recognizes her signature three-pointers and her prowess at finishing at the rim, she impressively shot 62% from under 5 feet last season. Her mid-range shot has been the missing link in her offensive toolkit. Opponents are forcing her to take these shots by incorporating moves like the assist float and the pull-up jumper. By strengthening her mid-range skills, Clark is making herself even more difficult to defend. Lastly, the video highlights Clark's dedication to finishing through contact. She's fearless when driving to the basket, but playing in the WNBA means facing intense physicality, whether it's on purpose or not. By replicating game-like situations and building her strength, Clark is gearing up for the hard hits she'll take night after night. Just look at those arms.
She's back in her natural habitat, back in the lab, playing basketball, and it's got to be a scary sight for the rest of the WNBA if she gets even better, because it's not as if she wasn't absolutely phenomenally elite as a rookie and arguably the best player in the league after the Olympic break.
Clark isn't just putting in the workouts, she's directly tackling her weaknesses. This isn't merely about keeping her current performance, it's about taking her game to the next level, and that should send shivers down her opponent's spines. So, what does this mean for the upcoming season? Imagine a Caitlin Clark who can handle double teams even more effectively, possesses a solid mid-range game to complement her three-point shooting, and consistently finishes strong through contact. Combine that with her limitless shooting range and exceptional court vision that leads to precise quarterback-like passes. It's like granting Superman immunity to kryptonite, along with his flying, heat vision, super speed, and super strength.
So you're starting from a very high place, but as Michael Jordan once famously said, right, the ceiling is the roof. And there really is no ceiling on Caitlin Clark's game because of her vision. I think that the thing that stands out the most to me is her court vision. And when you're able to shoot from deep, the way she's able to shoot from deep.
Clark is already at the elite level. She shattered the season assists record and, as a rookie, led the league in three-pointers in a single game. She's also among the top scorers in the league. But she's not stopping there. Clark is aiming to become unstoppable. This isn't just off-season training, it's a bold statement of intent. Get ready, because an MVP season is on the way. Clark isn't merely looking to improve, she's determined to dominate the court.
There is really nothing you can do as a defense but hope the ball doesn't go in the basket. That's the level of greatness that Caitlin Clark can get to, where the defense's only hope is that she misses.
But there's more to the story. While Clark is hard at work, someone else felt the need to jump on the bandwagon. Trust me, it doesn't quite match her level of commitment. Imagine this. You're Angel Reese's publicist, and you've just witnessed Caitlin Clark's video go viral. What's your next move? The answer might surprise you and has certainly stirred up the WNBA world. Guess what happened next? Angel Reese's PR team went into full panic mode, rushing to release their own workout video. And let me tell you, it looks like a poor reaction that screams desperation, not dedication.
The lack of, proof that she's been in the gym working on her craft, trying to hone her skills after what can only be described as one of the worst shooting seasons anybody's ever seen in the history of basketball.
Let's dive into Reese's video for a moment. Reese is out there showcasing her ball handling skills and sinking shots. It sounds impressive, right? But there's something just not quite right. It's like watching a cover band attempt to replicate a hit song. The notes are hit, but the passion is missing. Now, let's break down the numbers. Clark's video garnered an impressive 2 million views in just 24 hours, while Reese's is trailing with only 200,000 views in 12 hours. At this pace, Reese would struggle to reach even 500,000 in a full day. That's barely a quarter of Clark's impact. Ouch, that's gotta hurt. But here's what's really getting people talking. Where are the Chicago Sky in all of this? You'd expect Reese's own team to take the spotlight, showcasing their star players' off-season dedication. Instead, we're hearing nothing from the Sky and only seeing a hastily put-together video from Reese's PR team, and let's be honest, nobody's impressed. So, what's the real story behind Reese's training? Let's be honest for a moment, this is the same Angel Reese who struggled with a meager 44.5% from less than 5 feet and only 39.1% shooting overall from the field. Those are some of the lowest percentages in WNBA history for someone taking that many close-range shots. You'd expect her workout video to concentrate on actually improving those shots.
When she was literally the most inefficient player within 5 foot in all of the WNBA. Any which way you put it, she shot bad from the field. All right, she's 6'3" and she plays under the basket, and she shot 39.1% from the field.
When she was clearly the least efficient player within 5 feet across the entire WNBA, no matter how you look at it, her shooting from the field was poor. Standing at 6'3" and playing under the basket, she managed only 39.1% from the floor. Instead of focusing on improvement, we're given a highlight reel that prioritizes appearances over addressing genuine flaws. It's all flash with no real substance. This isn't about getting better, it's about maintaining a facade. It seems Reese is more concerned with her Instagram presence than her actual performance stats. But there's more. While Clark is busy transforming her game, Reese has been making headlines on the red carpet, sharing hot takes on podcasts, and complaining about her salary. There's nothing wrong with building your brand, but when your on-court performance is struggling for attention, maybe it's time to rethink your priorities.
No, my rent is more than that. It's 8,000. I'm living beyond my means.
So what do you think about this? Does Angel Reese have a future career in the WNBA, or is she going to end up being another Instagram influencer who couldn't keep up with Caitlin Clark